Hello.
Can you hear
Hey.
me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Is it clear? Is it good sounding?
Yeah, you're fine.
Cool.
It's coming
What?
through.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
Just
I
another
mean,
day.
it's just enough. I have to say, first of all, welcome from Portland to
Thank
Portland.
you.
You're in Portland as well,
Oh,
right?
you're in Portland?
I am. Yeah,
Ah,
I thought that was so funny because
that's
as I
funny.
was watching your film, I was like, I know that. I'm
Yeah,
pretty
that's
sure.
Portland.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I used to live in an apartment that was like I used to live on Hawthorne and 12th in an apartment
Oh yeah.
building. Yeah, yep,
Yeah,
yeah,
that we the when dude walks up to his apartments and sees the window, that's like across from the 7-Eleven next to the
yeah.
movie theater. Yeah.
That was my apartment building. I thought that was hilarious.
Whoa, that's so cool.
I know.
Wow, right on.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, so you're doing all right through the pandemic.
Yeah, I got a place with my partner out here in Northwest, and we just got this Bad Taste Video HQ little
Awesome.
hangout in Northwest industrial area, and we've just been kind of bunkering down here, trying to get the movie out there during COVID. So yeah.
Yeah, it's great. Well, I mean, I have to say I really liked it. I mean, it's definitely um something that I haven't seen in a while. And I mean, it
Mhm.
definitely, I got very strong trauma vibes, which I know that you're a part of that crowd,
Mhm.
which is very cool. How did you get involved with trauma? And you had Lloyd in your film and
Yeah.
his book in the background. So tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah. Oh, you noticed the book. That's
I did.
funny.
Yeah,
That's funny.
I have
I
that
remember.
book.
Yeah, it's a great read. Yeah. Well, I made a movie called Meat Lovers a while back. It was like a tribute to trauma of sorts. Just an exercise in gore effects. Let's see here. One sec. Okay. This guy right here, which I
Okay,
ended
yeah.
up putting it out on VHS for fun.
Awesome.
But I submitted it to Trauma Dance, their independent film festival, and they were like, "Hell yeah!" And so I went out to New York and saw it amongst other
Oh my
fun schlocky short films. Met Lloyd, and he was like, "Hey, I'm doing this movie next year called Shakespeare's Shitstorm. You should come be on the crew." I was like, "Hell yes!" And so then I went to New York the next summer with some friends, and we worked on that film, and that's where I really learned, okay, this is how you make a movie. Being on that set and watching Lloyd direct and like
yeah.
just seeing the chaos of that movie come together. Um, and so I went home. I already had I Need You Dead kind of in the works, and yeah, so I knew Lloyd even before the film festival, just from visiting their offices in New York and stuff like that. But because that's the thing, is anybody can kind of get involved with trauma. If you go to New York, you can
Yeah.
just knock 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 on their door and they'll show you around, and that's all I did. So yeah, then I mean
How,
Lloyd, I'm just like, hey, you want to do a video, help support the movie? He's like, oh yeah, let's do it, Rocco, sure. So
that's so great. There are so few like established filmmakers that have that kind of investment in like up and coming. And
I
I
know.
think definitely in the horror and in the horror community, and I've heard so many stories about Lloyd and about trauma that kind of go along with that, which I think is just fantastic.
Yeah.
Because that, I mean, you can definitely see the influence, in that kind of filmmaking and I Need You Dead, although um I also got strong like Mighty Boosh vibes, and I don't know if,
Mighty Boosh.
yeah,
What's
I mean,
that?
if you haven't seen it, write it down, because
Okay, I'm getting my pen.
there it's a British television series,
Oh,
and it's just
okay.
some of your stuff, with the just some of the aesthetic is very similar, and I was thinking, like, wonder if Rocko has been there, and then also like some real Charlie Kaufman vibes. I was getting a lot from the script and from the film itself, so it was really cool to watch. So like, where in the movie itself the kind of germ of the idea transforms into something completely different, how close is that to, like, where did this idea come from for you, and was it that
Hmm.
pretty much to a T, like just to kind of morph into something totally fucking out of this world?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, it's a funny thing. I mean, yeah, there is an element of that. Ultimately, the initial germ of the idea came from just being like really fucking depressed at one point. I had like a very low right after I moved out for the first time on my own. I kind of like just got pushed out into the world, and it was tough. And so I during that time, after about a year of experiencing just like I was looking for a release, and I also felt that the stuff that I had been making film wise was always in tribute to something that I liked. And I started to kind of have this realization of like, I really need to make something that's not just like a tribute to something else. I need to make something that's like just me.
Mm-hmm.
And I started suddenly the idea of like, oh, this like horrible way that I'm feeling right now could also be that making a movie about this could like help expel this out of me,
Yeah.
and like help just improve my way of thinking and just looking at the world. So this idea of kind of this like really insecure like young punk who births this nasty creature who is basically a manifestation of his depression, and figuring out you know what that is like. And the film isn't even about like how to overcome depression.
Right
It's
now.
more about like it's brutal, and it's just a story of brutality, and how brutal depression can be. And for me, it was like just putting the raw emotions of what I was going through on screen let me have resolve outside of the film. And so that's kind of how that started and germinated. And then the more experimental elements of the film that kind of start to go down um, came out of my frustration with like so much throwback culture going on in horror, and just being like, if it's not shot for shot like this 80s movie, then it's not worth talking about.
Totally.
And that was kind of frustrating me. And I started to see my own movie as like, yeah, I want to do the 80s thing because I love bright colors and fast paced, goofy slapstick, whatever. Like, I'm a Raimi kid through and through.
Mhm.
But I was like, but I gotta subvert people's expectations. And at that point, I felt like people already knew what the movie was going to be about, because even from my one log line of, oh, this punk is a nasty creature
Yeah.
and it's schlocky and gory and blah blah blah. It's like, okay, cool. They know what to expect. And so I was like, I want to surprise like even my closest friends. And I was like, I could just go deeper into this personal element of it's about me and
Yeah.
my depression. And that ended up being like a shower thought, and I was like, oh, that's so good. I started writing with shampoo in my hair. I was like, oh, I love this idea, like this is great.
Yeah.
So yeah, I
It
don't know, that's
was.
kind of how
It
that
was
happened.
so good because, like, when I started it, I'm going along with the story, and there are so many elements initially, anyways, just of dudes like interaction with people. I just like I remember that age and that time and, you know, space. And it is, I mean, the creature design is awesome, but then when it kind of switches to this whole like crisp camera lens, and you're talking to your producer about how to make things more financially viable, and like that switch, and then like just from that point on, you really elevated that idea of homage and, kind of seeing something familiar to like a whole different kind of category of your own. And I
Mhm.
mean, I definitely, you see homage in I Need You Dead, but it's not copying anything. And once you hit that kind of meta movie in the movie part, the way that it kind of descends into madness is really, really unique. And I am here for it, and I was here for it the whole time. And
Thank you.
I mean, I have to say, I watched your short, the other short with Esteban.
Oh, Michael Motorcycle.
No,
It's
on
like a music
drugs.
video.
On drugs. Is
Yeah, yeah, that's
that the
the
same
name of
one?
the song. The band is called On Drugs.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
loved the song, and I loved that video. And the actor Esteban Munoz, yeah,
Munoz.
Munoz,
Yeah.
is fantastic as dude. And then watching him in that, it looks like he's maybe a little bit of a your go-to guy. So tell me how you met him and how he got involved. And because I mean, this role, as he states in the kind of meta section of the movie, is like it's pretty harsh. And I mean, just
Yeah.
watching him like run around what I assume is downtown Portland, like psyched out, was really incredible. He's really great. So just tell
Yeah.
me a little bit about him and how you guys met.
Yeah, I mean, and he is one of my best friends my whole life. I mean, he's an incredible guy. One of the most creative people. I'd argue he's probably the most creative person I've ever met. I mean, he's just like brimming with imagination. His outlook on life is just so interesting. And funny thing is that we met when I was in high school, and I think he had just graduated college or something. Um, and we both showed up 3 hours early to a Death Grips concert. So it was like, okay, we have a connection here.
Yeah, yeah.
So we both love obsessing over things that we get into, and yeah, I mean, God, I shot like a music video for him because he actually is a hip hop artist as well.
Oh wow, okay.
He's really incredible. He's an incredible writer. And so we did that. Michael Motorcycle was kind of like a test after I was hot off Shakespeare's Shitstorm.
Hmm.
And so I was like, I want to get together like a real crew. I'm not going to shoot it this time. I'm not going to do the special effects. I'm going to have like people doing it as a team, and I'm just going to be like the director.
Hmm.
And so that was a test of that. And so then having Esteban kind of play that lead character was also a little bit of a test of like me directing him acting and seeing how that
Yeah.
would flow. And I mean, it was great. Like we had so much fun, and it was like, yeah, of course he's got to. Of course he's got to. I made him audition, but of course he's got to be the lead in I Need You Dead. So, yeah.
Yeah, he was so perfect for it. And just I mean, he's very different looking, and the way that he carries himself, just his physical presence on screen is pretty perfect, I think, for the type of movie this is.
Mhm.
So yeah, I just had to shout him out because he's really great. So your comments on like art and creativity in this film are pretty just like right there. I mean,
Yeah.
you has your time as a filmmaker and kind of establishing yourself in this world, has this been a very have you had real moments of loneliness and despair? Because that, I mean, this is really a commentary on creation and
Mm-hmm.
creating and what it is to be an artist. So it came across that you've definitely, I mean, despite the depression that you
Yeah.
mentioned before, that you've had a creative you know struggle at
Yeah.
points.
Yeah, I mean, it's really interesting because what the director goes through in I Need You Dead is so far from what I went through when we actually made the film.
Hmm.
I mean, our crew was like amazing on I Need You Dead. It was just like, and that's the thing is when you're working on a low budget movie and everyone's working for little to nothing,
Yeah.
it's like the reason they got to have a good reason to be there every day. And so everyone's reason is that they love movies and they want to make one. And it's a lot of people's first time. being involved with anything related to film. So in that regard, far from loneliness, actually like flourishing community. But you know, being an artist, especially I think being a director, it's really hard and really isolating at times because you'll be on set and you're the one person who can't like kind of like take a break and like sit down and like hang out and talk around with the crew because there's always something that you have to be on top of and you have to be thinking ahead about and thinking back to. Um, and so it's with that big picture. So it's like, you know, when we would shoot, I mean, I would just go eat lunch alone, like behind the set and just try to get away from everything. Cause I just like, I couldn't like turn off and just like hang out with everybody. Like, cause I was just thinking about all the stuff we have to do
Yeah.
for the rest of the day. And so, you know, that kind of stuff is hard. And what's even more difficult about being a director and even more isolating is that as a director, you have to make the tough decisions. Like
Mhm.
if somebody on the crew isn't like working and like you've got to make this movie work, or you know if someone's just screwing around and like you've got to, it's like, hey, we got to take this a little bit more seriously. Like you're the only one who can say that and like
Right.
get that across, especially at this low budget level. Like I'm sure on the big sets they have the ADs do it, but I
Yeah.
got I got to do it. I got to take the
You're the
blows.
parent.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's like I feel like I have to kind of parent a little bit,
Yeah.
and you know, a lot of people just are like, you know, they're just
Yeah.
like fuck you, and you start to think everyone hates you, and
Oh,
it
no.
it just gets tough. But you know, I don't know. As long as you stick true to what you believe in and you have some security in your moral compass,
Yeah. Yeah.
you
So
can you can pull through.
you didn't become like a dictator in the third act of like
No, no.
that wasn't you.
No, no. I mean, I'd like to think not. I mean, you have to be firm to get things done, especially when you have very little money, very little time, and it's like,
Hmm.
okay, like for instance, the police station set,
Hmm.
we only had that for one day from like fucking 11 to 4 p.m. and we have to shoot like a third of them, like a
Yeah.
massacre and like all these different things, like, and so it's like there's no time for dilly dallying. So if
Yeah.
someone's not doing what they need to be doing when they're doing it, it's like, hey, I need you to do this.
Right.
But at the end of the day, it's like after everything I would ask of anybody, it's just like, and thank you so much for fucking being here, doing all of this for free, carrying all this shit around, and just like,
Yeah.
you know, and it's like, order 8 pizzas and like just try to make everybody happy by the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know, morale is like the most important thing to have on a movie set. If everyone's having a good time and they're working hard, you're gonna make something that where people can feel that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that that comes across. I mean, despite I don't know how many of your actual crew members were in the film as crew members, but I mean, it really comes across as intense and dark as it gets, which is it's dark. And I really appreciate how you don't kind of hold back on that. Because
Yeah.
there are moments that, you could see people really holding back in order to appeal to a wider, whatever audience.
Mm-hmm.
And I always appreciate personally the types of films that kind of go towards that border and then just like push straight through.
Yeah.
But I there is a sense of real joy in it too. I like just kind of unhinged, mad joy, which
Totally. I mean,
comes
all the stuff.
across.
Yeah, all the
Yeah.
stuff that's the darkest in the film is the stuff that afterwards everybody on the crew is like, "Oh my God, that was awesome! Like that was
Yeah.
so like that made us all super excited because we were like, whoa, that was creepy, or whoa, that was really bizarre." So, yeah, because we're all horror lovers, you know, and you know
Yeah.
we all have that part of us that sees like a clip of some dude, I don't know, like getting into a horrible car accident. It's like, whoa, that's like kind of sick.
Yeah.
But then you're like, well, that's like, no, but it's sick. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
we're all a little twisted, you know,
Oh
whatever.
yeah. I mean, the horror community is great in that way. I mean, we all know there's darkness and
Yeah.
shit in the world, and you can choose to look up and away, or you can kind of face it head on. And I think that's what I Need You Dead really does. I have to ask also, the music in the score are great. Um,
Thank you.
yeah. So did you? I know you're basically like writer, director, editor,
Uh-huh.
jack of all trades. Did
Right.
you have who was this band? Is it the same band as before?
There's a lot of music in the film that came from a variety of places. Um,
But the theme song, the guys at the party at the beginning.
Yeah, that's a band called Nick Normal, who when I was like in high school, he was like the coolest guy to go see a house party show and like go see his band play. So having him get to play in the film was very full circle and fun. And to have them write an original song for the film was so cool. Um, really great stuff. Check them out.
Yeah,
But
definitely.
and then then we did original like soundtracking music. We formed a fake band called the Dummy Gummies outside of the film
Okay, yeah,
to to like score the movie, which I just like picked like my favorite musicians in Portland who I kind of met over the
that's
years.
great.
Because before I Need You Dead, I was like in a band and touring and like booking tons of house shows, which is why I like have that kind of culture in the film.
Yeah.
So I used those connections to kind of put together this cool band, and that like more rock oriented band did the first kind of half of the movie,
Hmm.
and then there's this really cool like kind of like funky hardcore glitchy weird harsh noise band called CMOS here in Portland,
That's okay.
and I had them do the much more like noisy freaky part of the soundtrack.
Okay.
And we got together and did original compositions. We just projected the movie onto the wall and they'd kind of like jam out to what was happening until we had something that was a bit more focused.
That's so DIY. I love it. It really, I mean, that stood out. There's just few things that really stood out, and the music was, kind of like, I'm a big horror score fan, and
Mm-hmm.
music is what kind of makes a lot of films, and especially
Totally.
this one when you're dealing with like a little punk kid and his descent into madness. And yeah, I good on you for that production value and what it contributes to the story, because I mean, I just think as a whole it's a really cohesive and just like complete narrative somehow, despite, it's like I can't imagine what the script looks like. I don't know if your script was you know 3 act structure. I
Uh-huh.
don't know.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, thank you. I appreciate it. We worked really hard on the music, so that
yeah.
I love hearing about people enjoying the score because I feel like oftentimes, less so in horror, but in general in film, composers tend to get like overlooked. So
Yeah.
those guys were really incredible.
Yeah, that's great. We'll get their name out there too. So, I'll let you go here soon, but what is next? What's next for you? Do you have something in the works?
Yeah. Currently, I'm just trying to get I Need You Dead out there, trying to get it on streaming. Really want to try to get it on Shutter. That's the dream right now.
Do it. Shutter
Yeah,
is Shutter. They're number one for
yeah,
movies like this right now, I think. I hope we
totally.
get it on
I
there.
love what they're doing. Yeah, they're kind of the independents in the horror world on streaming. So
Definitely.
I resonate with what they're doing. So trying to do that. But in terms of like a next feature, yeah, there's one that me and Esteban are currently writing, called Flapjacks. And where it currently is at, I mean, like it'll probably change the next time you hear about it. But currently, it's about a pancake narcotic that hits the streets. That has I don't know, it's not good.
Yeah.
It makes people melt a little bit, and let's say I got some other personal issues I'm pouring into this one that are a bit more complex and a bit more taboo than just something as vague as depression, but
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of getting more into like what's the I kind of like through therapy after I Need You Dead found out why I was depressed,
Okay.
from like some stuff from earlier in life. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, you make those connections. Like, oh, when I was like 5, that happened to me, and that is why I
Yeah.
get scared of that not scary thing. So actually diving into that, the root of that stuff in this next film, which I'm kind of horrified to do, but
Sure.
that's the point. So
I think I that that sounds amazing, and I think that art is how we process our shit.
yeah,
you
that's
know,
the plan.
I mean, otherwise, like stuff it down. So
Yeah.
yeah, that sounds awesome. I can't wait for that. I hope that you utilize our beautiful city right now. I
Yeah.
think you could find a lot of really dark and ugly places at this point in time. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's not the
might be
best
the
time,
perfect
but
might be the perfect time, to kind of
true.
get out on the streets and put some drug flapjacks
Totally.
there. Well, this has been awesome, Rocco. I really appreciate you taking the time. I
Yeah.
really
Thank you.
enjoyed I Need You Dead, and Ghouls will get it out into the world as best we can.
Thank you. I
Yeah, yeah,
appreciate it.
I'm rooting for you.
Yeah, I'm
And
rooting for you guys.
I want to stay in touch because, you know, we're Portlanders.
Hell yeah.
Hell
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. Yeah, we did a drive-in last summer and fall. We showed I Need You Dead drive-in style, and we showed
Awesome.
other films as well. And actually, um, this spring we're gonna do more drive-ins this spring and summer, and we're gonna try to show independent movies. So if Ghouls would want to somehow like help promote or be like a sponsor of it, so we can just promote your guys' stuff and put the Ghouls social media on like the big screen when we're doing it and the drive-in, people pulling in, I'd be
Yeah.
super down to connect over
That
that.
sounds awesome. I'll be
Yeah,
your Portland liaison, and we'll figure it out. Keep me on your mailing list, and let's figure
totally.
out a way to get that going.
Yeah, hell yeah. Cool.
Sweet. Well, it's
Great
been
meeting
great
you.
talking to you. I hope you have a good rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you so much.
All right. Cheers.
Cheers. Peace.